The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Greetings to all the rental denizens of the home video revolution and lovers of low-budget mayhem. Grab a freshly made Mai Tai and settle in for a fool's paradise. Welcome to Sex on the Beach, the Films of Andy Sidaris. Part of VHS Summer 4. Hot days, cool nights. I'm Jason, the last video manager, the last video store manager in the universe. And my guest is here to keep me from getting lost in a sea of videotapes. My personal pornomancer, Madam Molly Razz.
Hello, I'm glad to be back.
What makes a ticket to Hawaii hard? And are there soft tickets to Hawaii?
Questions. I'm not sure. Would it also work better in the same song if it was Soft Ticket to Hawaii?
Kind of. It's more of a soft rock song, right?
It is, yeah.
Ticket
it would make
to
more sense.
Hawaii.
Soft ticket to
Yeah.
Hawaii. No, but it's hard
not
tickets.
Paradise all the time. I think what they're alluding to is that sometimes living life in Hawaii when you're a big-breasted undercover CIA agent who's also running a cargo shipping company. And maybe you're not even a CIA agent, but you've been planted as part of the CIA because you were a rat against the mob. And somehow that gives you the ability to be an agent for the agency.
Apparently so.
Apparently that's a hard life. Even with all the jacuzziing that goes on.
I mean, you get to wear the shortest shorts possible and wear no bra ever. I mean,
ever. You shower
there's
outside.
Not much of a drawback, even though, except if you run, then it hurts.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
let me
when I
ask
was
you.
watching, I was like, oh my gosh, does that hurt? Especially Donna. Oh.
Yes. I have a question I want to ask you. As a woman who enjoys the female form, are boobs boring? You have boobs. Are they boring to you?
No, but I do get bored just looking at it, just like, this is just it, huh? Okay.
But we talked about this last time, right? There is.
But if you see a bunch of them all the time, then you're just like, and they're just there, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and then I don't really know the person who has them. I'm like, okay.
Right.
It's kind of like like when you see a dick, you're just like, okay, I don't know who this person is. Have you ever watched the show Naked Attraction?
No, I haven't, but I do know what it is. Yeah.
Yes. It's kind of like that in a bit, since I am pretty asexual, but I do find it pleasing to look at. But I'm just like, I'm not like, ooh, I feel aroused. I'm like, this is aesthetically pleasing to me.
Yeah, but see, the thing
I have
about
to know the person. If I don't really know the person, then it's like that, where I'm seeing the body parts come in, and I'm just like, that's not a person. Those are just body parts coming in.
It's just clinical, right?
Yes,
it's just
it is very clinical to me. To me, sometimes.
Well, because let's just talk about it. I mean, there's this spectrum of attractiveness as far as dicks go, but on the macro, dicks are not attractive. They're alien. They're weird. The
only person I talked to said, "Ooh, that guy has an attractive penis." Was my gay male best friend. So
there you go.
I have never heard a woman say, "Ooh, that's a sexy dick." I'm like, no, never heard that ever from anyone.
A sexy dick is almost an oxymoron in the sense that it may be sexy in relationship to other dicks. Like that's nice as far as dicks go.
Yes.
But dicks on the whole aren't any good.
Oh, what would you rather look at? And you're just like, I think boobs. They would say boobs, even though they're straight. They'd be like, boobs are just more aesthetically pleasing to look at.
What? Okay, that's where I'm getting with this. As just forget sexual orientation. Just as a woman, you see boobs every day. Andy Sidaris is a 10-year-old boy who, like you said, found a clinical magazine with with a human anatomy and it went, oh my God. And it just obsessed with boobs into his 60s, 70s, well, 50s.
Yep.
And yet still you would say there is something aesthetically pleasing about the breast as far as all human body parts go.
Mm-hmm. I would say so, yeah, much more aesthetically pleasing than the male genitalia, than the male sexual organs, but
Yeah. What about
even though
butts?
breasts are not really sexual
They're not
organs,
sexual
they
organs,
are
though.
no.
Yeah.
No, they're meant to feed babies.
Right.
That's their main purpose.
But yet we find them so alluring.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Apparently, I did have a class in my undergrad about sexual traits and why they're passed down. And for Western men and other cultures like that, the boobs were just more aesthetically pleasing, and that was passed down more because they went for mates who had better boobs. And while in Africa, when you look at some African tribes, they don't really have those boobs like we do, like the circular ones. They
Yeah.
have more
Right.
butts. They like the butts. So it's just like that's why. So it's the sexual traits that have been passed down through generations, through centuries of breeding.
I
So
see. Well,
mhm.
as far as butts go, you're going to be hurting to find
I know.
butts in these movies. We talked about that last time too. This is a
Mhm.
different era. We had not, as Americans, come to terms with the fact yet. Sir Mix-a-Lot had not educated
Yeah,
us
no.
yet that butts are where it's at. The butts
Mhm.
make a great accompaniment to breasts, and
Yes.
yeah, there's not even good male butts in this one. At least in the last
No, there's
one,
not.
there's
In the
a
last
couple
one,
of good
yeah.
male butts, nice, firm, juicy male
Mhm.
beefers, but nothing here, man. Just
No.
it's all as they say on TikTok, it's all milkers.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and they are a plentiful. And that just the conversation thus far, dear listeners, should clue you in the fact that this is the Hawaii Don Ho was afraid to sing about. So fire up the forehead VCR, put on your favorite Hawaiian shirt, and get ready to get horny with us. Or maybe, I don't know. Molly may not be horny, but at our all expense paid hard ticket to Hawaii. I feel like I
Mhm.
fumbled the summary of Malibu Express, and I've seen this one the most of any Sidaris film, and I sat down to write a very brief plot summary, and it still
Mhm.
turned out to be like 3 paragraphs because there's
Yes.
so much plot in this movie. So this
So
is my
convoluted.
this is it's even
So
more
much.
convoluted than Malibu Express.
Mhm.
So, but I
Yeah.
will try. And I want you to
Mhm.
grade me on this as adjunct faculty of the Binge Movie School of Sexual Education. I want you to grade my summary because you've plotted this whole thing out as well. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yes. Ready.
It's a hot time in Hawaii because trouble is simmering in paradise. When 2 Molokai County marshals get iced on a remote island, a pair of undercover honeys from the agency, Donna and Taryn, are sent to stir things up. But instead of busting drug deals, it's just weed. It's just weed. They end
Yep.
up with a suitcase full of sparklers thanks to a mix-up. Enter drug kingpin Seth Romero, who
Mhm.
throws a tantrum and wants his diamonds back faster than a
Mhm.
tourist burns in the sun. Adding to the mayhem, a killer snake. Yes, that's right. A killer puppet snake infected with some seriously messed up toxins from cancer infested rats joins the party. With their backs against the lava and Romero's goons closing in, Busty, Donna, and Taryn call in their
Mhm.
agency crew, including the cousin of Cody Abilene, for an explosive showdown that would have even the most fire-breathing volcano blush.
Mhm.
There's so many plot elements I left out. I left out Edie and her restaurant, which also has a male
Mhm.
restaurateur who might be one of the sleaziest people who's ever lived. I
I
left
know.
out Andy
Mhm.
Sidaris' extra distrbuting cameo, which we'll get into.
Oh. Mhm.
I left
That
out
was yeah.
the vitamin addicted racist sportscasters. I left
Yeah.
I left out Michelle. Did I already say that?
Mhm.
Who's the plant? Who's in drag? Who's Michael Anderson again? Miss Gay,
Ye
USA 1986 is back.
Woohoo!
Um,
Yes.
yeah, and about 15 other things. I left out skates. I left out shades. I left out frisbees. that cut people's fingers off. I left off local indigenous weed farms. I left out shipping
the
mishaps.
bazooka.
I left out bazookas and blow up dolls.
The skateboarding goon with a sex doll.
Yes. We'll get to some of it, but there's more plot points. I left out Chang, who is an Asian bad guy played by a white guy doing a bad British accent, even though he may be British. Yes. Never explained. I left out.
Did they
drug
ever
lords.
Explain about the sumo wrestlers or no? They're just
no. Not that I.
No.
No. I really
I guess dialed you got those
in.
male boobs right there.
Correct. Yes. I think Donna's still giving them a run for their money. I think that the only reason that exists is for the gag of Taryn being able to say, "Oh, I speak multiple languages and I can communicate." Yeah. And she tries to speak broken Spanish. And then be super
racist about it. Yeah. And a joke that Scary Movie 4 would copy decades later.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Our cast here is Donna Spear as Donna. Mm-hmm. Does Donna have the best breasts in film history?
She definitely has the biggest so far we've seen.
She rivals Sybil Danning, which is saying something.
Oh, she does.
Yeah. Prodigious bosoms. Mm-hmm. We have Hope Marie Carlton. These are all Playboy Playmates, Penthouse Pets, B-movie starlets. As Taryn, who is squealed in the mob, is in witness protection under Donna's protection, but is in Hawaii working with her for the agency.
Yes.
We get Patty Duffick as Patty Cakes, Cynthia Brimhall as Edie. There's a whole separate like restaurant subplot and the characters who inhabit that restaurant. And Edie is kind of a fixer for the agency, but she's really just the owner of a restaurant. Just whatever. We get Wolf Larson as J.J. Jackson, who is does a lot of racist caricature of kung fu movies. Yeah, a lot of Asian racism in this movie.
There is.
And we get Rodrigo Obregon as Seth Romero, who
the worst actor of this movie. I'm sorry.
And that's saying something because while Malibu Express felt like a porno without the sex scenes. Mm-hmm. This has more porno level acting in it than Malibu Express did. Mm-hmm. Like Donna and Hope and Patty and Cynthia and Ron Moss as Rowdy Abilene. Wolf Larson. Wolf Larson's a porno name from the 80s. These are all porn performances.
Yeah, basically, yes.
And he's the worst. Rodrigo is horrendous.
He is. He's just, and you're just like, he's the bad guy. You think he's so threatening, but he barely enunciates, and then his facial expression never changes. It's like if you had Christopher Walken and told him not to do anything whatsoever except just say the line as blandly as possible. Yeah. That's maybe a bit of what you're going to get with this performance right here.
And that's something because he has probably one of the most protracted death sequences I've ever seen. He dies over the course of 15 minutes in this movie.
Yes.
He's beaten, kicked in the balls, shot, stabbed, drowned, beaten the head, bitten by a cancer-infested toxic snake. It comes out of a toilet. We got to start at the beginning here, though. So where Cody's gone, and I have questions about this. And in his place is world-class spy Rowdy Abilene. Rowdy versus Cody. Who did you prefer, both from a aesthetic standpoint? I don't feel like Rowdy gets as nude as frequently as Cody did.
Oh, no, definitely not. I wonder if that was the actor. He's also a musician, apparently. But
interesting.
I wonder if that was his thing, that he was shy or something like that. Or it's like, no, I don't want to be nude. The girls are nude, not me.
Yeah.
And at least with Cody, there is kind of a charm to his boring disinterest. Well,
yes.
Rowdy is just kind of there, and then he's only there for about 30 minutes of screen time, and this movie's an hour and 30 minutes because we're mostly spending it with Donna and Taryn.
Yes.
Yeah, but it does open with him at the Malibu Express, the ship.
Correct.
They took the train part off at the front, and I was like, no, the train.
The train, yeah.
The real reason it was called the Malibu Express.
So,
but yeah,
my question is, did Sidaris own the boat Malibu Express, and that's why he so he based these movies on so he could have a tax write-off for his own yacht. You know what I mean?
It would not surprise me if he did.
Was this all of this a tax shelter? All of this continuity that exists. And apparently
I already
will
know
continue.
This movie was just a vacation movie. It's like the Adam Sandler trick of being like, I'm going to give everybody of all my friends a vacation and we're going to make a movie here. And he's like, we're going to do this at Molokai. So let's do this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
He loves Molokai.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so Rowdy is on the Malibu Express before the 7-minute mark in this movie.
Yep.
We get a whiplash-inducing series of events. We get gangland executions.
Yeah, I felt so bad for those guys. And they're like, no, don't just. I'm like, no, we just had a conversation with them. One of them's getting promoted.
One's retiring.
Yeah.
As soon as you say, I'm 1 week from retirement, you're dead. You're dead.
Yep. I know. And they just they just got him. And I was like, no.
It seemed like an easy kind of a thing too. He's like, hey, this family's been on the islands generations. I should come here once a year and say, hey guys, take it easy on growing all this weed. And they go, okay, well, here's some weed and go sell it to give it away to your friends and distribute it to your friends. And he takes the weed and he sells a little bit of weed, makes some money for himself at the side. Then he writes him a fine and that's it. And then, and he's like, what? He's like, there's no harm in it. The locals, they work here, then they go into town and they spend their money, and they sell weed to tourists and, it keeps the money in the local economy and they're not, it's just weed. They're not hurting anybody.
Yeah. No.
And I don't think there's ever an explanation as to why Seth's gang has taken over this weed farm.
No, there's not. Because at least in Malibu Express, you're like, selling secrets to Russians. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Here it's like, because there's kind of a justification right there. Because you're just, you hate your country. Here it's like, greed? No. Okay, just doing weed. Okay.
But they treat Seth, now, presumably he killed the family who's running the weed farm. But they treat Seth as if he is like Scarface. But all we know is that he has RC helicopters roving around the island with diamonds in them. Yeah,
the little tiny toy RC ones. They're just like, that's too expensive for a child's toy.
What?
But just with diamonds in them, just smuggling them. It was like weed and diamonds? Dude. Not even cocaine?
Weed's not that big of a deal.
Just the same stuff that you could just get from a schoolyard classmate. Just like, hey, dude, give me some stuff.
So he's this ruthless weed dealer, diamond smuggler?
It reminds me a little bit of the Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, where Joe Pesci, it's like, I create this drug that is more addictive than marijuana. And you're just laughing because it's like, marijuana is not really addictive.
No. Sorry, Joe Pesci, you and your reefer madness, anti-drug, Nancy Reagan conspiracy theory.
This is so Reagan inspired, war on drugs inspired. Damn you, Nancy Reagan. Our least favorite blow queen.
Our least favorite throat goat.
Yes. We were going to discuss it anyway. We had to get to that point because of in this movie during a later scene. But yeah.
Hey, I'm just glad to know that Rowdy is willing to do what Batman isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll talk about it.
Yes.
So then later in the movie, Donna confronts Taryn because Taryn got a bunch of free movie posters from the local video store.
Yes.
And one of the they're all like Andy Sidaris films, which is like, whatever, that's fine. But one of them is Hard Ticket to Hawaii. And Donna's like, yeah, we don't see Cody so much anymore ever since he went off to Hollywood.
Express. It was Malibu Express. That's right. That's right. You saw Malibu Cody right in there. And it's the same poster.
Yes, it's right.
We don't see Cody much anymore.
Now he's off at Hollywood being an action star or whatever. So in the world of this movie, in the world of Hard Ticket to Hawaii, is Malibu Express a movie? Is the movie you and I watched the movie they watched?
I think that's exactly it.
Or did we watch the reality of it, and then that reality inspired a movie in the Hard Ticket universe?
That's probably exactly what it was. But then it also made Cody look stupid still. So it's just okay.
Well, they continue the trend of the impotence of the Abilene men, because the reason the justification for the bazooka is that Rowdy says it's the only way he can hit a target.
Yep.
So he has to have an even bigger phallus.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Because he can't get it done with something more human.
Smaller than that.
Nope. I feel that this movie is even much more, because we talked about, like, in Malibu Express, how the movie's sort of at odds with itself, where it's like it's not homophobic, but it's kind of misogynistic, but also kind of feminist, but also like all this sort of stuff. This one much more feels leering, and it much more feels like a collection of 80s male wish fulfillment fantasies.
It really does at points.
Complete with lines like, where Donna's like, I do my best thinking in the jacuzzi. He's like, come on.
And get in the jacuzzi with barely any bubbles whatsoever. Yes. So I'm like, that's not a hot jacuzzi right there. No bikini top, no bra, nothing.
Yeah. They're trying to figure out, after they get the diamonds, where the diamonds came from. And she's like, we're going to have to figure this out. Come on. Let's unload the helicopter. I do my best thinking in the jacuzzi.
In the jacuzzi.
And then they just get into the jacuzzi. They're topless. They play around with the diamonds. And then basically she's like, I have no idea where these came from. All right, let's get going. And then they get out of the jacuzzi. They're only in it for 30 seconds, 90 seconds. I'm like, okay, that was just there so we could see both their racks at the same time.
Exactly.
It also has a line where Donna confronts Rowdy and says, did you know that this was going on here on the island when you sent me to Molokai? And he's like, yeah, I did. She's like, you can't control my life. And he goes, I don't want to control your life. All I want to do is suck the polish right off your toes. And that was like, there's kind of a little bit more, I don't want to say kink, but a little bit more kink in this.
There is a little bit more.
Yeah.
More. And it actually is that, the guy's actually wants to do stuff to her instead of having her do stuff to him.
Yes.
Which is to say, like with the toe, I want to suck the polish off your toe. It kind of reminds me a bit of John Barrowman's from Megadon, the Megadon movie. Just like, why don't I take you back to my apartment and eat out your pussy? Which was barely an ad lib.
Okay.
And he thought the director was going to say, no, don't do that. But he said, that's actually perfect. Let's do this. I was like, that's actually a good come on line right there. It's like, yeah, I want to have a guy go down. I want to have someone go down on me if I was a woman. Like, yeah, let's do this. He doesn't care. He wants to do it.
And so then it was like, there's so many bad, like, dad jokes, and then at one point Taryn's like, what's Rowdy working with? And she's like, 4 inches. And she's like 4 inches isn't so good.
From the ground up.
I measured him from the ground up. But I'm like, that's a long way to get to that punchline. I felt like, but
yes.
The filthy restaurateur or maitre d' or whatever the fuck he is.
That was Andy Sidaris. Yeah. He's
the TV producer. I'm talking about
that's right.
Edie's husband, boyfriend, brother, whatever the fuck.
Edie.
He's like, I got you the best seat in the house.
In this, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, where is that? And she's like, You're right. You can sit right here in my face. And then
It's like, why is your dick not enough?
Yeah, well, she responds with like, why? Because your nose is bigger than your dick.
Dick.
Yeah.
Even though I'm just like, you could definitely tell a man wrote that line because I'm just like, oh no, a girl would actually like that much more than just penetration.
I did think about the changing attitudes of the world.
Yeah.
Where there's a not 0% of women on Bumble and Hinge and Tinder are like, I want to sit on your face.
Yes.
So it's that sort of like, that has flipped around, I think, a little bit. Sexual mores around cunnilingus have changed since 1987. Yeah. It's less
procreative sex. What is this?
It's less kink and more standards, boilerplate now. Gentlemen, if you're not satisfying, it's just the norm.
In fact, we even have it where we already got mad at DJ Khaled for saying a guy never goes down on a girl, but a girl can go down on a guy because he's the king. And so many people got on him about that. Like, no, that's not true at all, DJ Khaled. That is not true. It's like so many guys, even Dwayne Johnson actually got him. It's just like a real man wouldn't do. A real man would actually go down on his lady. And I was like,
even Dwayne Johnson decided to break from his corporate shillery and take a stance on something. That's how ubiquitous and universally acceptable, at least in Western culture, performing oral gratification on a woman is as a man. Even The Rock, who stands for nothing, would stand up for cunnilingus. That's what I want to say to America, as to Gen Z out there, who Molly and I are trying to educate through the films of pervert Andy Sidaris. Stand up for going down.
Yes.
Stand up for cunnilingus, America.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
It works out better for everybody. Do it for selfish reasons. Be a selfish lover and go down on your wife tonight, folks.
Exactly. Let her sit on your face. Come on.
Literally.
Yes.
Michael Andrews Returns gets less to do here. He's not like Stewart. He's not one of the main supporting characters. Gets hardly any dialogue, but does most of his performance this time around in drag.
Yeah.
Did you immediately recognize
for the longest time?
Him?
I didn't even recognize it. Well, the first time I saw it, I was just like, man, that woman's hot. I was thinking to myself,
as far as like being
and then she
shotgun with 80s
wig,
makeup.
And I was like, amazing.
As far as being shotgunned in the face with clown
Edie,
makeup.
The first time he takes off the makeup, Edie's just like, we can help you be more of a woman, Michelle. And I was like, Michelle's already way of a woman. What are you talking about? And then he takes the wig off and the makeup. Oh,
right.
Like he passed so well. I couldn't tell.
Very well. Yes, very well. Very, very well. And I think that the 80s aesthetic of the heavy eyeshadow and the heavy gradient eyeshadow, where it's like and pastel blues hair. And the pinks and the poofy hair and whatever, and the heavy the foundation.
That shoulder pads were really in style at the time. Correct. It could hide that.
It slenderizes.
Yeah.
Even though he's a very slender, petite man, it it slenderized him in a way. It gave him more of a 80s female form, so to speak.
Exactly.
But I just keep thinking to myself, and Andy Sidaris is dead, and unfortunately Michael Andrews is dead, and I don't know if Sidaris' wife is passed on as well. I got to know the answer to this. And you're more popular on Film Tour than I am, so maybe you can start tweeting about this and you'll get answers. Why was Michael Andrews in these movies? Was he a friend of Andy Sidaris's? Like, because in this movie in particular, the script goes out of its way to include him. It could have been, that character could have just been a guy or a girl or a different drag queen, or there's actually no reason for it to be a person in drag. It's like they specifically.
But he looks so great in it. So why not?
But it's like they just specifically wanted to work with Michael Anderson or Andrews rather. So, but why? Did they know him? Did they like him? Was he funny on set? Was he just?
He was probably a friend with them. It would not surprise me if he was. And they wanted to keep hiring him. Maybe he was their lucky charm, like Pixar has with John Ratzenberger.
Isn't he a creep? Oh no, John Ratzenberger. John Lasseter. John Ratzenberger. Cheers.
Ratzenberger. Yes, from Cheers. Yes.
Yeah, I choose to believe that Michael Andrews is the drag queen equivalent of John Ratzenberger in Pixar movies. Yes. That's great. Mm-hmm. I, for the life of me, like I said, I've seen this movie, I don't know, close to half a dozen times at this point in my life, including twice in 2 weeks. Once, like I watched it last week and this week. Constant introduction of new plot lines, characters, twists. How many plots and characters, from the sportscasters to the TV producer to the vitamin addicts who are talking about how mega dosing vitamin C will turn your urine green. And the sleazy restaurant guy.
It's going to be totally fine just having all the vitamins in one.
Frisbee enthusiasts. Yeah. Andy Sidaris.
He was a guard. He was a goon who was just a Frisbee enthusiast too.
That's true. Andy Sidaris showing up as an attempted rapist?
Yeah.
As a Weinstein?
And it's played as for laughs, sort of?
Yeah, it's played like broad sitcom comedy.
Yeah. And there's just... And
he's like, I'm so sorry about last night.
Of course. Sorry about
I'm so sorry about
you almost raped me last night. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And just staring at her boobs.
I've changed. Yeah, I'm not about your body anymore, Michelle, or whoever it was, Sarah, or whatever her name was. I'm a Sandra. I'm about your mind. And the waitress
also getting sexually harassed so much. Just like, she brought the twins and it's about her boobs.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it was probably the first time in these movies that I was just, can you just like pour that water on his face or just like, splash it on his face? Yeah. I think people would cheer for that.
Well, okay. I don't want to play script doctor to Andy Sidaris, who wants to play doctor with the women in his movies. Mm-hmm. But let's play a little script doctor here. Yeah. If you're going to make a raunchy 80s late night cable boobarama action flick, if your main actress has ginormous boobs, you can't have all the other characters in the movie going gaga over women with smaller boobs. You can't be like, whoa, look at those, right?
Yeah.
It's the escalating stakes that you're supposed to have in a screenplay, right? You don't have the biggest stakes in Act One.
That's like the Fellini style of filmmaking there.
You build up to the crescendo.
Yes.
So if you're going to do it that way, we should have seen progressively larger breasts throughout the film until Donna's top comes off in the third act. And then...
But no, just like right there. Too excited.
Right. But by this point, we've seen Donna and Taryn's breasts.
Yes.
17 times. So to have a waitress who's fully clothed.
Yes.
And is a reasonably breasted woman, but is not Taryn, is not Donna, is not the nunchuck wielding bikini drug assassin.
Oh God, she was the hottest. Let's be real here.
Okay, right. The muscle mommy. I was going to ask you about her. Right. Greased up, tanned, shredded, with big old boobs.
I now want to know if Rose Glass has seen this film and they're just like, yeah.
You can't then just be like, well, here's this waitress who's fully clothed and like, we're going to be all worked up as if she's the hottest person in the restaurant when all the other women are there in the restaurant. All of them. Edie even has bigger boobs than her. Edie's boobs are ginormous.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to work out, Michelle. You got to keep your breast and your mind firm. I see you've got half of that down. Thank you. Which is actually kind of funny, you know.
Yeah.
That's just like, that is what you would call like a drag queen read. She's reading Edie. I think that's Edie who she's talking to. Michelle.
Yeah.
Where it's like, your brain is soft, but your boobs are firm, and she doesn't get it. Mutually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. I had a sneaking suspicion that the person you're going to respond to most as an asexual was, or someone who's currently asexual.
Great ace. Let's go with that. Because I do feel some sexual attraction, but I'm just like, oh no. I'm not like all the time with it, or just like it's not always constantly on when I see a hot person.
Yeah. But that ninja bikini muscle momming.
Yes.
Do you and I have the same taste in women? Will you be my wing lesbian? Will you be my wing?
Yes. I was like, that woman could put me in a chokehold and snap my neck, and that is so sexy.
Isn't it?
I know. I was just like, why? Why is this? It's like, this woman could put me in danger. That's super hot.
I'm 6'4", and I'm the size of a linebacker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, there is hardly a person on the planet who could really push me around if they wanted to, unless they were like a pro football player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a true athlete or boxer or whatever. But like just the average person I run to in my life cannot over-dominate me in pretty much anything. Mm-hmm. But there's and I think that puts a psychological thing in your head, my head, where I'm like, not full S&M sort of stuff, but there's something about a muscled woman, and it's only been the last like 5 years. Something about muscle mommies to where you go,
Yes.
And if they're ninjas on top of that, and she had like black lipstick on, so she's kind of a goth muscle gym mommy. This is hitting me in a spot that it's a growing interest of mine in 2024. And you and I think, share that same passion. Where can we go, Molly, where we can meet the women of our dreams?
The gym, like Love Lies Bleeding, maybe.
Yeah.
And even then, you just like, they try to tell women just like, no, you have to be soft and fragile. It's like, not all the time. Not all the time.
No. If you could deadlift my ass, do so. I want to know, and I want to be a part of that with you. Pick me up and toss me around, mommy.
Yes.
And so like that's the person I respect. Like, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed the female form and all of its glorious splendor. But in this particular film, the one who struck out to me was the semi-nude, greased up, tan muscle mommy brunette. I prefer brunettes. Yes. Dark-haired women with dark features, dark lipstick, almond eyes, this kind of thing. And it was like, this is perfect. And you're right or die with me. Molly and I are ride or die. We want the patrons over at patreon.com/binge movies to put a fund together and send Molly and I together so that Molly can help me get a woman. I can help her get a woman. We each have our own muscle mommies, and then we're off to the races.
Yes. Oh, she could bench press me. Even though it would probably be super easy. I'm only like 5'4", 5'5". I'm average. It would probably be super easy.
Yeah. Okay. How many plots are in this movie, though?
I'm trying to think. There's the plot with the snake.
Yeah.
There's the plot with the supposedly British Japanese Japanese guy who has a Chinese last name, Mr. Chang.
Yes, Mr. Chang. Yes.
And they give him katanas in his office, and I'm just, your name is not Japanese.
Right. And you're not theoretically he could be Chinese.
He could be, yeah. And he's played by a white guy.
With a heavy British accent.
Yes, with a very British accent.
Yeah.
We got the Seth guy who's running the weed deal.
Yeah.
We got the fact that Taryn is in witness protection program.
Yep.
We got We got Rowdy and his ponytail buddy, his long-haired buddy who likes to be shirtless.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to remember his name now, but then he tries to teach him, and they both do really
Jade.
bad Asian
Is it Jade?
accent. Jade, yes.
Yes.
And they both practice martial arts, and Jade also is low-key racist.
Oh, yeah,
He does the fake Chinese accent and pretends to quote Confucius.
Yes.
And we've got the restaurant.
Yeah.
We've got Wolf with the sports guys, and they get drunk on the stage on the interview part, and the black guys drop the N-word in public television.
Yes.
And it's just like, we're supposed to give them Shirley Temples. And it turns out, they gave them alcohol.
Yeah.
We've got the henchmen who are also trying to get the diamonds back. Yep. One of them also skateboards, and also they try to distract Roddy.
They call him Skater.
Yeah, on his skater.
Yeah.
Yes, shades, and even skates on his hand, so he's doing a handstand with it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny when they first see him just skateboarding with the handstand. It's like, ooh, that guy's really on something.
That guy must be on some heavy doobies.
Doobies. Yes.
When's the last time you heard somebody say doobie?
Doobies.
Yeah.
That's what the cool kids say.
Molly and I want to do some heavy doobies together with some muscle mommies and just disappear.
Yes. Maybe one of them could do a handstand on a skateboard.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah.
And then try to distract somebody with a sex doll, and then
just throw that in as well. Let's put it all out there, Molly.
I feel like the sex doll was just added to distract Rowdy, like the route they tried to do with the first film with the henchmen seeing the boobs, like, hey, henchman, with knockers like, boobies! Except this time it's a sex doll, but Roddy's like, oh, you gave me a target to shoot, and he's has the sex doll, and like, boom, with the bazooka, just blows it up. And I was like,
okay.
No.
So is that what you think the logic is? That Rowdy and Jade are such horn dogs? Because all they do is talk about sex. Yeah. And even after Jade gets shot in the chest.
Yeah.
And Rowdy's like, are you okay? He's like, I've been better, but I'll live. Yeah. Let's get that turkey. And then he's directly shot in the heart. It's unambiguous where the bullet wound is. He's still able to drive. Totally fine. He drives himself to the hospital. It said he insinuated that he fucked the nurse that took care of him in the ER.
Yeah.
Is the insinuation there that they know these guys are horny, so they use the blow-up doll as a distraction?
Maybe that is why. That is what I thought it was. Because otherwise, what's the point of the blow-up doll besides it's a blow-up doll and it's funny for it to blow up?
Did people really fuck blow-up dolls? Or were those just gags?
Somebody's doing it. Somebody's already fucked the Dune pocket, so.
But in 1987,
if
were
there's
men
a hole in something, some dude has fucked it.
In 1987, were men fucking an inflatable couch with that looked like that?
It would not surprise me if there was like, oh, I found a hole. Let's go.
I thought it was just a Spencer's novelty of like, because it's so ridiculous. The bachelor party prop. I am not of the impression that men were actually sticking it in these things.
It would not surprise me if they were.
Do you think that Rowdy felt shame that maybe in a previous time of his life, he had fucked a blow-up doll and this guy was exposing his kink, and so he had to destroy the evidence with the bazooka? Do you feel like Sidaris is making a comment on the male sexual fragility and how we try to cover up our indiscretions through violence?
Mm-hmm. Maybe he is, but maybe he's also making a point, just like destroy your fake dolls and actually have sex with real women, men.
So you're taking it into like an alpha direction, like a red pill direction of like, stop, no fap, get a real red-blooded woman, bazooka your porn and get a woman and be an alpha.
Well, we had a similar plot with Transformers because basically Shia LaBeouf's character is the technically the average Transformers man. And it says, "Hey, you losers, get a real car and actually have a hot babe to come back to, and just get rid of your toys and stop playing with your Transformers."
Oh,
Which is why I'm
so you
always so
think that the
confused why
Transformers
Transformers fans like it, because I feel like Michael Bay hates Transformers fans because he's telling him, "You're loser virgins. Actually, just go out and get a hot babe and get some awesome cars."
instead of playing with toys that are cars that turn into robots,
Yeah.
go get a real muscle car and fuck a broad. That's what you think he's saying?
Yep. That I feel is a message for Michael Bay, and I think it's a part of a message here is that actually get with a real woman, men. Just stop being a boy.
Is then the message also when you get with a real woman, make sure you please her orally?
Yes. That's a better message than Michael Bay ever gave.
Right. So again, we come back to this thing where arguably this is a more misogynistic film than Malibu Express.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yet this is the film where the male protagonist, who's not in the movie
for most of the film,
most of the film, when he does finally show up, spends the entire sexual congress that we see on screen going down. The only details we have is that he went down on her.
Yeah.
And they heard how loud
he went down on Donna too, or at least like Donna went down on him, except it looked more like she was just clutching his chest with her boobs. That sort of
You're
thing.
interpreting that was the blowjob.
Yeah.
I see. I interpreted that. I guess that's right. Yeah, she was on her knees, and we see her bare ass. And I guess, but there wasn't. He wasn't like a simulated softcore blowjob. Because you're right. She was like more like
you don't even see it. No,
her head was more.
You don't even see her head go down. Nothing.
No. Yeah, she's basically.
You just have to interpret it like, oh, she's on her knees and she's in front of him with her butt just right there for us to see.
Right. And then
just like clutching like with his chest.
Then the cutaway then is him.
And then you hear him moaning, and they're like, "Geez, get a room."
Good point.
It's like they're in a room.
And then they make an inference about eating afterwards, and then says something about, "Why don't you try closing your mouth while you're chewing your food," or something like that, or trying to chew your food so loudly or something. And I'm like, I don't know if chewing is the right way to go,
Yeah, no.
But yeah, okay, all right. So yeah, okay. So give and take. It's round about the time that the guy Shades gets his fingers cut off by a frisbee, because even though he's a guard of the weed farm, he gets distracted by tourists and locals who want to play frisbee with him. And
his main weakness is frisbees.
And Donna and Taryn have used a camcorder to record him seemingly at no distance, because it's just a close-up of him. So did they walk up to his face with the camcorder?
Yeah.
To film a clandestine video of him throwing a frisbee? But then Rowdy or somebody takes a frisbee, but the frisbee's loaded with blades.
Rowdy puts the blades in there. Yeah. And apparently right before he throws this, he plays them for a bit, but then he changes it for that one. And then he says, "This is for the Molokai cops." It's just like gets his neck just right there.
Yeah.
It's like it's like as James Bond spoof with like Goldfinger, which they do reference James Bond quite a few times in this film.
They do, and it's usually consists of the women going, "Which of the Bonds would you fuck?"
Yep.
Yeah, and she's like, "I'd fuck them all." At the end of the scene, I'm like, what was the point of that?
So they can bring it up at the end. It's like, that was like the James Bond film, Live and Let Die. That was gnarly.
Yeah, right. The snake comes and goes. It's the wrong snake, a snake from a medical research facility.
Yeah, so like, you got the wrong snake. Oh no.
we eventually forget about the snake or actually not even after, during the process of killing Seth. When we think Seth is dead for good this time, before the last fright, Donna is wiping the murder sweat off her brow next to her toilet.
Yes.
She opens the toilet to throw her sweat rag into the toilet, and an atomic snake bursts out of the toilet, exploding it with fog and light and lightning and thunder. And
it's like, oh, I didn't know this was Florida.
She then figures out that Seth isn't dead, and she basically like
this was after she stabs him with a harpoon gun, just like the harpoon goes through him.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right from the door.
He's been penetrated more times than she has in the movie.
Yeah. He was actually shot by Donna in the
early
film. Early
in the film. His face gets fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and they're like, don't worry, boss. Just some plastic surgery. You're going to be okay.
They've got plastic surgery now that can handle that, boss. And he's like, no surgery. She like El Toro's this freaking toilet viper.
Yes.
And the snake eventually latches on to Seth for good measure, pumping him full of the cancer and radiation.
Which is, I love that they call it a boa, because boas constrictors don't have venom. They don't have those teeth.
Right.
But they say, oh, it's the largest boa constrictor. That's not a boa. It's like, it's large like a boa constrictor, but no, boa constrictors don't have fangs. They swallow their prey whole and strangulate them. So that's why people have had boa constrictors as pets.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it can't bite me. It's fine.
If the rats the boa eats are infested with cancer,
yes.
Why does that fill the snake with radioactive toxin?
I think it would have made more sense if they said something like, oh, the snake came from Chernobyl. Just like, even though I wonder when this came out, because Chernobyl was 1986. 1987. They could have said that. They could have said, it came from Chernobyl.
Yeah. Like the snake could have
like
been made
radioactive. That would make a bit more sense. It would be equally ludicrous, but it would make more sense.
Yeah. Then we wouldn't get that great line of the guy like fumble fucking his way through his dialogue where he's like, listen, ladies, you gotta be careful because this thing's cancer infested rats.
Rats. The guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
He's just so frustrated every single scene he's in. Just like,
well, there are at first they argue with him. He's like, you got the wrong shipment. And they're like, Donna and Taryn are like, no, we didn't. And he's like, no, you did. I'm telling you, you got this horse. He's like, no, we're fine. It's the right snake. How would they know? They just picked up the box.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know.
No.
They wouldn't know. Then at the end of the movie, Donna and Taryn just keep the diamonds after all that and all that death and carnage.
Yeah, because Taryn said that since I'm not part of the agency,
I'm a civilian.
I can keep the diamonds. Like, no, you can't.
Is that how that works?
No, you can't. That is withholding evidence.
If you're a civilian,
that is a crime.
Civilian who is working as an agent.
Yes.
But whatever, if you're a civilian who finds evidence of a international drug cartel in any form or fashion, in this case it's diamonds.
Yes.
You don't have to report it?
You do. At least not her. The agents do, and they do nothing.
They just laugh. They're like,
laugh. And
yeah, they're like, she's right,
and
Rowdy.
Donna even says to Rowdy, should she do that? And Rowdy's like, she's right. I'm like, no, she's not.
She's right.
No, she's not.
Yeah.
That's withholding evidence.
It's a hard ticket to Hawaii.
And that doesn't even bring up how Donna actually blows up the plane with the bazooka with the muscle lady, and when she died, I was like, no,
muscle mommy, no. Oh, we totally left with the fact that Rowdy demons the snake by eventually getting onto a motorbike, and then he
gets on the motorbike because they're like, wait, where's Seth? After all that,
yes.
He's like, oh no, and then he just like jumps onto the motorbike to go find Seth, and then
crashes
Seth turns out is at Donna's house.
Crashes through the wall at just the right moment with the bazooka. Yes. Blows Seth and the bazooka's head, the snake's head off. And
I was like, oh no, don't you dare. You're going to blow up yourself. Like, nope. Just the snake and Seth.
Right there. Yeah, and then eventually, the Donna blows up the getaway helicopter with the muscle mommy.
Yeah, and that doesn't even bring up how even before that, after that, they got to Chang, because Chang was apparently the guy who was the head of this all, and they throw him out his window.
Yes.
Just like,
so apparently, like, due process isn't a thing in the war on drugs.
No, not when it's agents like that. Like, no. Winners don't use drugs right there.
That's right. Winners don't smoke heavy doobies, kids.
No. Mm-mm.
Winners go down on their wives and girlfriends.
Yes.
They're big-breasted. Winners get big-breasted women and muscle mommies and go down on them.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay. Is this entertaining trash or just plain bad?
I say it's entertaining trash. It is.
Yeah, despite all of its problematic.
It also helps that the two actresses, they are so into it and they are giving it their all, even though they are not great actresses, but you can see that infectious energy in your life.
No, how could this have happened to you when they find the mangled corpses on the beach from the snake?
No,
yeah.
How did this happen?
Yeah. To me, this is a sort of cult classic action flick that gets parodied by other movies. Like a lot of times, like movies will show you. Somebody that's kind of guilty of this recently was Fall Guy. I don't know if you got around to seeing Fall Guy in the past spring.
Oh, I did not, but I've heard it was not that good. So
the movie that Emily Blunt is making is like a parody of Dune meets like a Marvel movie meets like a Transformers or something. And my problem with movies that do that is to always look at them and go, but that movie you're parodying doesn't actually exist.
No.
This was my problem with Last Action Hero. Yeah. You're not in Last Action Hero. They're not parodying Arnold Schwarzenegger, the movies Arnold was actually making, especially by the 90s.
No.
Arnold was not in any movies with a cartoon cat.
No.
But yet there's a cartoon cat in Jake Slaughter's life. Why? Because
it felt more like it was parodying a bit of the Bruce Willis movies or the Harrison Ford films of just like your wife is dead. That plot point, which I don't really see in a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger films.
No. And so you're parodying something that is so broad that maybe you could go back to like Red Heat or Commando or something and kind of get close to it. But even then, it's not quite right. Like he wasn't making those sorts of movies.
No. He was
By that point, he'd already done Terminator
things like
2.
Predator. He was making things like Terminator.
Yeah.
Suburban Commando. So, was it Suburban Commando?
No. Suburban Commando is Hulk Hogan.
Oh, that's right. Which one was the one where he does the really lame pun on the airplane after he kills
That's
a goon?
Just straight up Commando. Yeah.
Commando, that's what I was thinking.
Or he plays John Matrix, who's trying to save his daughter Alyssa Milano from a fake drug lord from a fake country. Yeah. Like, okay, and that's what I'm saying. Is like, okay, maybe that one, but that was like he had done that like it's more towards the start of his career.
Yeah. So he was trying to also do family films more at the time. He did Jingle All the Way around that time. After
Last Action Hero, but he had done Kindergarten Cop already, right? So yeah. So it just it just never made any sense to me because it was more of a broad parody of Hollywood. And you're saying that Jack Slater's movies are like all of Hollywood. It just didn't really work. Like, are you parodying Arnold or are you parodying Hollywood? Pick a lane, right?
Yeah.
But this is, if you watch this movie, this is one of those parodies in a actual Hollywood film, but it's not a parody. It's kind of a James Bond spoof, sort of.
Yeah.
But it's
which is
also
funny because I always think about how James Bond was a satire of the novels of things like John le Carre's novels.
Yeah.
Because, James Bond was actually meant to be a satirical character. And then now we've made parodies of James Bond. So
multiple types. Yeah. So to me, the part of the enjoyment of this is this is like if this is actually like watching if a Jack Slaughter movie was real, I think it would be hard to get to Hawaii. I think just like the submachine guns and boobs and bazookas and nonsense, it is a less of a movie and more of like a deposit of every tacky fashion trend, interest, desire, and idea for men of a certain age in the 1980s. It's Hawaii, it's palm trees, it's big tits and suntans and loud silk shirts and gratuitous sex and violence, and it's bazookas, which I feel like the bazooka was like the bazooka and the Uzi were the weapons of the 80s for some reason. We loved bazookas.
It really was. I remember that in a ton.
Nobody talks about bazookas anymore, right?
No.
We loved bazookas. Like, oh, wait,
they're really destructive.
Yeah.
The last time I saw it, it was Furiosa, and that was pretty destructive. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. We loved bazookas and monster trucks and shit in the 80s. And this is all of that. This is like when you see stereotypes of the 80s, and it's just a collection of like pink flamingos, not the movie, but the actual pink lawn decorations and all that tacky neon shit, like what I'm dressed as. It's this actual movie. This movie condenses all of that. And it's like, isn't this cool? And it really believes that it's cool. It is a movie by horny idiots for horny idiots. And for that reason
probably
alone,
propelled by a little bit of cocaine.
Yes, or at the very least, weed.
Yes, some good doobie.
Some good heavy Molokai dubes. 4 stars. I got 4 out of 5 stars. What would you give Hard Ticket to Hawaii?
I would probably give it about 3 out of 5 because just a pure enjoyability and not actually like a good plot.
No.
So, no.
Not one
nor good acting, but it's hard not to be entertained.
Not one of the 24 plots in this movie make any sense. And I will tell you that we, as good as Molly is, we didn't do this movie justice. It must be seen to be believed. You need to watch it at least once in your life, preferably with heavy doobies on board. That brings us to our next film, which I've never seen, but here's what I'll say about it. In the cluttered attic of 1988 action cinema, is there a hidden gem gathering dust? Forget everything you know about subtle espionage. These agents throw shade with hand grenades and deliver punches with rocket launchers. Wielding a submachine gun like a paintbrush dipped in neon audacity. An explosion of Hawaiian intrigue with a side order of ballistic balletics. Does Sidaris and his bevy of busty blondes hit a bullseye of B-movie bliss? Or paint a splatter mess on the canvas of respectability? Join myself and Molly Razz as we delve into the dubious delights of Picasso Trigger. What the hell does Picasso Trigger mean?
Is it the art piece or is it just
what
like,
is a,
you think like
those are 2 words
artist?
that don't go to Picasso
I know,
Trigger.
just like artist and trigger. Like a gun.
Have you seen Picasso Trigger?
I have not, and now I am intrigued.
I have not seen it either. There's one thing I know about it, in that it is a direct continuation of the Abilene storyline.
Oh.
And it is a I don't know if it's an immediate sequel, but it is a direct sequel to Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Ooh.
It is in continuity. Now, we don't know if it's in continuity with Malibu Express because Malibu Express is also a movie within the Hard Ticket Picasso Trigger universe now. But maybe that gets retconned. I don't know. But I know that we're going to continue this trend. Let's make a prediction. Will Picasso Trigger let me ask you these 3 questions. Will Picasso Trigger have less, more, or equal female nudity as Hard Ticket to Hawaii?
Well, I feel like Hard Ticket to Hawaii had a little bit less nudity than Malibu Express.
Kind of did, didn't it?
So I feel it's got to be rectified. He may rectify it a bit. So there might be a bit more. Who knows?
Right. Okay. So you're going to say we're guessing more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say less.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be more, equal, or less bazooka / explosions in Picasso?
Oh, I think more. Oh, definitely more.
I'm in agreement with you. I think he's going to blow more shit up. It may not be bazookas.
Bigger budget. Come on, let's do this.
But it may be bigger, just overall bigger explosions. Once you start
he went
blowing
from one explosion in Malibu Express. Now he had 2 in Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Maybe there's 3 in this one.
I'll say 3 or 4. Those are good odds. Yep. Okay. Last question. Equal, bigger, or smaller breasts? Will there be a woman with bigger breasts than Donna? Assuming Donna's not in the next one. She might be.
Well, if we went with Doris Wishman, it's definitely going to be bigger boobs. But since we're going with Playboy bunnies and Playboy mates, I don't think so. I think it's probably going to be smaller.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. It's like you're going to keep hiring Playboy bunnies. I don't think all of them are going to be as huge tracts of land bountiful.
Yeah.
Bountiful. I don't think it's going to be as much for Donna.
I don't know this in the way that you do, potentially. Were Penthouse Playmates, do they tend to be more full-figured than Playboy Playmates of this era? Do you know that?
I almost want to text my friend who lives in California to be like, hey, do you know? Because she used to actually study Penthouse because she got into looking at the sex work industry. And she was just like, I'm going to look this one up. So I feel like she would know, but it would not surprise me if Penthouse had bigger jugs. Let's be real here. It would not surprise me.
That's a term I've not heard in a long time, Molly. Jugs. Jugs. Wasn't there a magazine like Jugs Magazine? I thought there were.
I think so. And I think The Simpsons made a joke about it. Just like, ooh, Mr. Simpson, you want your subscription? Would you like your subscription to gigantic asses?
And that would have been a joke at the time. And now we'd be like, that's just Instagram.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Yeah, I already follow gigantic asses. It's called Instagram.
Yeah.
And TikTok and OnlyFans.
Yes.
Well, when you're not here talking about throat goats and muscle mommies and 80s porno aesthetics, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Raspberry Raz. You can find me on Letterboxd at mbrasberry. And you can also find some of my writings at mollywoodwrites at wordpress.com and thefilmstage.com for some older stuff I've written.
Beautiful, awesome, great. Again, as great as Molly is, I don't feel like we did this movie any justice. I feel like this is a movie that is impossible to talk about. It must be seen to be believed.
Yes.
Go out of your way, if you haven't already, to watch or rewatch Hard Ticket to Hawaii. We will see you next time for more Sex on the Beach with Andy Sidaris when we talk about Picasso Trigger, whatever the fuck that means. Until next time, binge on.